The Calrathian war fleet hung in orbit like 100 dead stars, and Commander Lyssa Karn stood on the bridge of the lead dreadnought knowing her people had already lost. 3 years of war. 17 colony worlds burned. 4 billion dead across both sides. And now the humans had sent their terms. They want what? Grand Admiral Vextal hissed through his translator, his 4 eyes narrowing. A marriage, Lyssa repeated, her voice flat. One of their officers to one of ours. A union to cement the peace. Vextal's mandibles clicked in disgust. Humans, always with their primitive bonding rituals. Fine. Send whoever volunteers. It's a small price to stop their fleets from glassing our homeworld. Lyssa had volunteered herself. Not out of patriotism, not even out of duty. She volunteered because she'd seen what human ships could do, and she knew this war was unwinnable. The humans had appeared in the galaxy only 30 years ago, stumbling out of their little corner of space with fusion drives and kinetic weapons, primitive, laughable. Then they'd started winning. The human delegate arrived on a small shuttle, no escorts, no weapons, just one man in a simple gray uniform. His name was Lieutenant Blake Harrison, and he looked utterly ordinary. Brown hair, average height by human standards. Calm eyes that scanned the docking bay like he was inspecting equipment, not entering enemy territory. "Commander Karn?" he asked, extending his hand. She stared at the appendage. 5 fingers. Soft skin. No claws. No venom sacs. Nothing. "I am Lyssa Karn," she said, refusing the gesture. "Let's be clear. This is a political arrangement. Nothing more." "Understood," Blake said simply. "When do we start?" The ceremony was brief. Calrathian law required only a verbal contract and a genetic seal. Human law apparently required even less. Within an hour, they were legally bound by both civilizations. "The treaty is signed," Vextal announced over the fleet-wide channel. "All ships, stand down. The war is over." Lyssa felt nothing. No relief. No joy. Just the hollow weight of survival. Blake stood beside her, hands clasped behind his back. "Your quarters are mine?" he asked quietly. "Mine," she said. "And stay on your side of the room." He nodded. Fair enough. As they walked through the corridor, Lyssa couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The humans had won every major engagement in the past year. Their technology had leapfrogged an entire tier while her people struggled to adapt. They could have demanded unconditional surrender. Instead, they'd asked for a wedding. "Why did your people really want this marriage?" she asked as they reached her door. Blake stopped, turned, and for the first time, she saw something flicker behind those calm eyes. "Because," he said softly, "you needed to believe you still had a choice." The door sealed behind them, and Lyssa realized the war hadn't ended at all. It had just changed. Blake set his small pack down in the corner of Lyssa's quarters and surveyed the room with that same unsettling calm. No curiosity, no nervousness, just assessment. "You can have the sleep pod on the left," Lyssa said, activating the wall panel. Her quarters were standard officer class. 2 pods, 1 common area, a hygiene station. "I'll send for your meals separately." "That won't be necessary." Blake pulled a ration bar from his pocket. "I'm self-sufficient." "Of course you are," she muttered, moving to her workstation. The peace treaty scrolled across the screen. Territorial concessions, trade agreements, reparations flowing both ways. It looked fair. Too fair. She'd been a tactical officer for 8 years before taking command. Nothing in war was ever fair, unless someone was hiding their advantage. Blake sat cross-legged on the floor instead of using the furniture. His eyes closed, his breathing slowed. "What are you doing?" Lyssa asked, meditating. "In the middle of an enemy ship?" "We're married now," he said without opening his eyes. "That makes this my ship too." The audacity sparked something hot in her chest. "This is a Calrathian vessel. You're a human. You have no claim to—" "Article 7 of the treaty," Blake interrupted softly. "Married partners share equal status and access across both civilizations. I can requisition supply manifests, personnel records, and tactical data from any Calrathian vessel. You can do the same with human ships. Lissa's fingers froze over her console. That's insane. No military would agree to that. Yours did. Blake's eyes opened. 3 hours ago. She pulled up the full treaty documentation, scrolled to Article 7. Read it twice. He was right. This is a spy operation, she said coldly. You volunteered so you could infiltrate our fleet? No. Blake stood in one fluid motion. I volunteered because I'm the only human who could survive what comes next. What's that supposed to mean? Before he could answer, the ship's alarm shrieked. Red light flooded the quarters. Lissa slapped her comm badge. Carnier. Report. Commander. We have an unidentified contact dropping out of slip space. It's not human. It's not Calrothian. The sensor officer's voice cracked. It's not anything in our database. Blake was already moving toward the door. Where do you think you're going? Lissa snapped. The bridge, he said. You'll want me there. Like hell. Lissa used her first name. That ship out there, it's been hunting humanity for 6,000 years. We've been running from it across half the galaxy. And 3 months ago it found us. Her blood went cold. What are you talking about? The war between our people, Blake said quietly. We started it on purpose. We needed you combat ready. We needed your fleet positioned exactly here, exactly now. 'Cause we can't fight them alone. The ship shuddered. Something massive had just locked weapons on the fleet. Fight who? Lissa demanded. Blake's expression finally changed. Fear flickered across his face. Real, genuine terror. The Seraph, he said. And if we don't work together right now, they'll exterminate both our species before sunrise. Lissa grabbed her sidearm and followed him into the corridor. Officers rushed past, some heading to battle stations, others frozen in confusion. The entire fleet had been celebrating peace 30 minutes ago. Now something worse than war had arrived. They reached the bridge in 90 seconds. Vextel stood at the command platform, all 4 eyes locked on the view screen. The ship hovering beyond their fleet made the dreadnoughts look like children's toys. It was organic, flowing, covered in what looked like scarred tissue and burning veins. And it was scanning them. What in the ancestors' names is that? Vextal breathed. A Seraph harvester, Blake said, stepping forward. They seed galaxies with intelligent life, wait for civilizations to develop, then return to harvest genetic material and technology. They've hit Earth 4 times in recorded history. We've survived by hiding, by staying small. Then why reveal yourselves now? Lissa asked. Because hiding stopped working. Blake moved to the tactical console like he owned it. They found our homeworld. They've already taken Mars and Europa. Earth has maybe 6 months. So we made a choice. Drag another species into this fight, or die alone. Vextal's crest flared in rage. You used us as bait. No, Blake said. I married into your family and brought my war as a dowry. That's different. The Harvester's surface rippled. 30 weapons ports opened like mouths. All ships evasive pattern Theta, Lissa shouted. Return fire. Blake grabbed her wrist. His grip was wrong. Too strong. Inhumanly strong. Kinetic weapons won't scratch it, he said. You need to trust me. Why should I? He met her eyes. Because I'm not entirely human anymore, and that's the only reason we have a chance. Blake's hand released her wrist, and Lissa saw it then, the faint shimmer beneath his skin, like circuitry made of light, pulsing in rhythm with his heartbeat. What did they do to you? She whispered. What we had to do to survive. Blake turned to the tactical display, his fingers moving across Calrathian controls like he'd used them his entire life. Every human who volunteered for the marriage program underwent enhancement, Seraph genetic integration. We took samples from the ships we destroyed and built ourselves into something that could fight back. Vextel's mandibles spread in horror. You infected yourselves with the enemy? We adapted, Blake corrected, and now I can interface with their systems. The Harvester fired, not projectiles, not energy beams. Reality itself seemed to bend as waves of distortion rippled toward the fleet. Brace for impact, Lissa shouted. The wave hit the outer frigates. Metal screamed. Hulls compressed like foil. 3 ships crumpled into spheres of wreckage in under 2 seconds. Shields are useless, the sensor officer reported. It's rewriting matter at the molecular level. Blake closed his eyes. The light beneath his skin intensified, crawling up his neck, spreading across his face. I need a direct connection to your fleet network, he said through gritted teeth. Now. Lissa looked at Vex Tau. The Admiral's expression cycled through rage, fear, and desperate calculation. Do it, he said finally. She enabled the connection. Blake's entire body went rigid as data flooded through him. I see them, he breathed. 17 harvesters total. This one's a scout. The real fleet is 6 hours behind. 17? Lissa felt her stomach drop. How do we fight 17 of those things? We don't fight them. Blake's eyes snapped open. They were glowing, pure white light where his irises should be. We make them think we're not worth harvesting. Another distortion wave launched. Blake's hand shot out, and every screen on the bridge flickered. The Calrathian fleet moved as one, not by command, but by direct neural override. Every ship rotated, engines fired in perfect synchronization. The fleet scattered into a formation that shouldn't have been possible to coordinate without hours of planning. The distortion wave passed harmlessly through empty space. How are you doing that? Vex Tau demanded. I'm not, Blake said. We are. Every human volunteer is linked. 47 of us, married into 47 different Calrathian command structures. We're a distributed intelligence now. One mind across your entire fleet. Lissa grabbed him by the collar. You turned yourselves into a hive mind and didn't think to mention this? Would you have agreed to the treaty if we had? She wanted to hit him, wanted to throw him in the brig, wanted to undo the last 4 hours. Instead, she let go. What do we need to do? Blake's expression softened for a moment, almost grateful. Teach us how Calrathians fight. We have the processing power. You have 3,000 years of military doctrine. Together, we're something neither the Seraph nor humanity has seen before. The Harvester fired again. This time the attack split into 40 separate vectors. Blake's voice echoed through every comm system simultaneously. All ships! Pattern recognition protocol. Move on instinct. We'll handle the coordination. A pressure at the back of her mind. Not invasive. More like someone standing close enough to whisper. Let me in, Blake said quietly. Just for this battle, I won't go deeper than combat integration. Every instinct screamed to refuse, but the Harvester was charging weapons again, and her fleet was out of options. Fine, she hissed. But if you try anything, you'll space me personally, I know. She opened the link. Information flooded through her consciousness. Not her thoughts, not her memories, just pure tactical awareness. She could feel every ship in the fleet, see through every sensor array, process firing solutions that would have taken her minutes in microseconds. And beneath it all, she felt the others. 46 more human volunteers, each linked to their Calrathian partners. A web of connections spreading across the combined fleet. Now, Blake said, show me how you won the Battle of Kreth Nebula. Lissa didn't question how he knew about that classified engagement. She just pulled up the memory, the flanking maneuver, the false retreat, the timing that required split-second coordination. Blake absorbed it instantly, adapted it, improved it. The fleet moved. Calrathian dreadnoughts rolled to present minimum profile. Human destroyers that had been hiding on the far side of the moon burned into position. Fighters launched in waves that wove through each other like schools of fish. The Harvester's weapons tracked, fired, missed. The combined fleet struck back. Calrathian plasma cannons and human railguns firing in perfect synchronization. The Harvester's organic hull rippled under impact. For the first time, it showed damage. We heard it, Vex Tau said, disbelief in his voice. Barely, Blake corrected, but it's enough to make it reconsider. Harvesters are efficient. If a target proves too costly, they mark it for later and move on. Later? Lissa asked. When they bring more ships, the Harvester began to withdraw, its form shimmering as it prepared to slip back into faster-than-light travel. Let it go, Blake said. "We're not ready for a prolonged engagement." The enemy vessel vanished. Silence fell across the bridge. Lissa severed the mental connection. Her head throbbed. Her thoughts felt too loud in the sudden isolation. 6 hours until the main fleet arrives. She said, "What's the plan?" Blake finally looked tired. The glow faded from his eyes and he swayed slightly. "We run," he said. "Both our fleets. Together. And we find somewhere to make our stand." "Run where?" Vextal demanded. Blake pulled up a star chart. Maker. His finger landed on a system far from both human and Calrathian space. "There," he said. Old human survey data tagged it as anomalous. Massive energy readings from the fourth planet. No biological signatures. Whatever's there, the Seraph have avoided it for 6,000 years. "And if there's a reason they avoid it?" Lissa asked. Blake met her eyes. "Then maybe we can use it?" The combined fleet jumped to slip space in synchronized pairs, human and Calrathian ships locked in formation like binary stars. Lissa watched the tactical display as 73 vessels tore through reality, running from an enemy that had hunted humanity across millennia. She'd been awake for 36 hours straight. Her eyes burned. Her head still ached from the Neuralink. And Blake sat in the corner of her quarters, breathing slowly, his skin occasionally flickering with that unnatural light. "Tell me the truth," she said. "How long have you been planning this? The marriage treaty? 8 months. The enhancements? 3 years? The war itself?" Blake opened his eyes. "We've been preparing to meet you for a decade. You started a war that killed billions just to position us for this moment." "No." Blake stood. "We started a war to see if you were worth saving. The Seraph don't discriminate. They harvest everyone. We needed to know if Calrathians could fight, if you could adapt, if you were strong enough to stand with us when the real threat arrived." Lissa's hand moved to her sidearm. "And if we'd failed your test, then we would have let the Seraph take you first and bought ourselves more time." His voice held no apology. "I know how that sounds. But Earth has 73 billion people. Your homeworld has 19 billion. In a calculus of survival, we chose ourselves first. At least you're honest about being monsters. We're survivors," Blake corrected. "There's a difference." The ship shuddered as it dropped from slip space. The destination system materialized on the view screen. 7 planets orbited a dying red giant. The fourth world was twice the size of Earth, its surface covered in geometric patterns visible from orbit. Not natural formations. Architecture. Continents spanning structures that formed perfect mathematical spirals. "Ancestors preserve us," Vextal whispered over the command channel. "What civilization built that?" Blake moved to the sensor console. His fingers danced across the controls, pulling data faster than any organic being should process. "Unknown," he said. "The structures are at least 50,000 years old. Maybe older? They're generating a field that warps space-time in a 3-light-year radius. That's why the Seraph avoid this system. The field interferes with their faster-than-light drives." "And ours?" Lissa asked. "We can navigate it. Barely. But the Seraph fleet won't be able to jump directly to us. They'll have to approach at sublight speeds through the distortion field." "How long does that buy us?" 14 hours. Lissa pulled up the tactical analysis. 14 hours to prepare a defensive position against 17 ships that could each destroy entire fleets. "It's not enough time," she said. "No," Blake agreed. "Unless we can activate whatever's down there." Vaxtail's image appeared on the comm screen. "Absolutely not. We know nothing about that technology. Could be a weapon. It could be a trap. It could be a tomb for whatever species was foolish enough to build it. Or it could be the only advantage we have," Blake countered. "I'm going down there." "With what authorization?" the Admiral demanded. Blake smiled thinly. "Article 7. I have equal access to all military resources. That includes landing craft." "I'm going with you," Lissa said. "Bad idea. Worse idea is letting you go alone." She turned to Vextal. "Admiral, I'm taking Lieutenant Harrison to the surface. Commander Trevec has the bridge." Vextal's crest flattened in frustration. "If you die down there, Then you'll have one less problem to worry about. The landing craft held 6 people. Lissa brought 4 of her best Marines. All of them stared at Blake like he might detonate. The descent through the atmosphere was rough. The space-time distortion created pockets of turbulence that threw the craft sideways every few seconds. They landed in the shadow of one of the massive structures. Up close, it was even more impossible. The walls curved in ways that hurt to look at, disappearing into dimensions that shouldn't exist. Blake stepped out first, touched the surface, and collapsed. Lissa caught him before he hit the ground. His skin was burning up. "Blake!" His eyes rolled back. The light beneath his skin exploded outward, brighter than before. He started screaming. "Fall back!" one of the Marines shouted, but Lissa held on. Through the neural link they'd formed earlier, she felt it. Not pain, information. A massive data transfer forcing its way into Blake's enhanced mind. "He's downloading something," she said. "Help me get him inside." They dragged him through an opening in the structure. The interior was worse than the exterior. Corridors stretched in impossible directions. Gravity shifted with each step. And at the center a sphere of pure light hung suspended in nothing. Blake's eyes snapped open. No longer white. Now they were prismatic, cycling through colors that had no names. "I understand," he whispered. "I understand everything." "Understand what?" Lissa demanded. He looked at her with those alien eyes. "This isn't a weapon. It's a library. A repository of every species the Seraph have ever harvested, including the ones who fought back successfully. Someone defeated them? 12 species across 3 million years. And their knowledge is stored here. Battle tactics, technology, weaknesses in Seraph biology we never knew existed." Blake stood, his movements fluid and wrong. The species who built this place survived the harvest. Then they uploaded themselves into the structure and waited for someone else to find it. Why? Because fighting the Seraph alone is suicide. But fighting them with the accumulated knowledge of everyone who's ever survived them? Blake's smile was sharp and terrible. "That's a war we can win." The sphere pulsed. Information flooded through the neural link. Lissa gasped as 3 million years of warfare downloaded directly into her consciousness. She saw species she'd never heard of, battles fought with weapons that bent reality, tactics that required thinking in 6 dimensions. And at the center of it all, the Seraph weakness. They were efficient, precise, utterly predictable. They'd been using the same strategies for 3 million years, because those strategies always worked, until now. "We need to get this data to the fleet," Lissa said. "Already done," Blake replied. "I'm transmitting to all 47 human volunteers. They're integrating it now. Then we have a chance. We have more than a chance." Blake turned toward the entrance. "We have every mistake the Seraph ever made. And we're about to make them pay for all of them." The Seraph fleet dropped from slip space at the edge of the distortion field. 17 harvesters, each one carrying enough firepower to crack a planet. And waiting for them was a combined human-Calrathian fleet that had just learned 3 million years of warfare in 4 hours. The battle was about to begin. The fleet formed a sphere around the 4th planet, every ship positioned with mathematical precision. Lissa stood on the bridge of the dreadnought, watching the Seraph harvesters crawl through the distortion field at sublight speed like predators certain of their kill. Blake stood beside her, his eyes still cycling through impossible colors. The download from the ancient library had changed him, changed all 47 human volunteers. They moved differently now, spoke with cadences that belonged to species dead for millions of years. "They're adapting to the field distortion," the sensor officer reported. "Estimated contact in 40 minutes. Let them come closer," Blake said. His voice held harmonics that made Lissa's teeth ache. "We need them inside the engagement zone." Vextal stood at the command platform, his 4 eyes fixed on the approaching enemy. "Lieutenant Harrison, your enhanced analysis indicated the Seraph have a critical weakness. Care to share it before they start killing us?" "They're bureaucrats," Blake said. Silence fell across the bridge. "Explain," Vextal demanded. "The Seraph aren't warriors. They're administrators of a 3 million-year-old harvesting operation. Every decision goes through a hierarchical consensus process. Every tactic is approved by committee. They win because they're overwhelmingly powerful and their enemies are disorganized. Blake pulled up a tactical display, but that consensus system has a fatal flaw. Disrupt their command structure, and the entire fleet freezes while they reestablish authority protocols. How long? Lissa asked. 93 seconds. If we can kill the command vessel in the opening strike, 93 seconds isn't enough to destroy 17 ships. No, Blake agreed, but it's enough to do something they'll never expect. He transmitted a data package to every vessel in the fleet. Lissa scanned it and felt her blood turn cold. "This is insane," she said. "This is adapted from the Vrelnok stratagem, a species that survived 2 harvests before the Seraph finally overwhelmed them. It works." Vextal studied the plan, his mandibles clicking in agitation. "You want us to intentionally let them board our ships?" "We want them to think they're boarding our ships," Blake corrected. The Vrelnok discovered that Seraph boarding parties operate on pure instinct once separated from command consensus. They're predictable, exploitable, and suicidal to implement. The Vrelnok had a 72% survival rate. That means 28% died. Blake's expression didn't change. Yes. Lissa looked at the approaching harvesters, at her fleet, at the impossible choice in front of them. "How many ships do we sacrifice?" she asked quietly. 15. The smallest, fastest vessels. Skeleton crews only. Volunteers. Volunteers to die. Volunteers to win, Blake said. "I'll be on one of them." "Absolutely not." The words came out harder than Lissa intended. "You're the only one who can coordinate the fleet-wide neural link. Any of the 47 can do it now. We downloaded the knowledge. We're all equally capable. Then we pick someone else." Blake turned to her. Those alien eyes softened slightly, and for a moment she saw the man who'd walked onto her ship 12 hours ago. "Lissa, I have to be there. The command vessel will have genetic samples from Earth. My family's DNA is in their database. I can use the neural link to track their storage systems. Without me, we're guessing." She wanted to argue, wanted to pull rank, wanted to do anything except agree to send him into the center of a Seraph harvester with almost no chance of survival. "Fine," she said, "but I'm coming with you." "No. Article 7 works both ways, Lieutenant. Equal access to military operations. You go, I go." Blake smiled, actually smiled. "You're going to get us both killed. Then we'll die doing something useful." The Seraph fleet entered weapons range. The command vessel hung at the center of the formation, larger than the others, its organic hull pulsing with bioluminescent veins. "All ships," Vextal announced across the fleet channel. "Execute Protocol Vrelnok on my mark." 15 small cruisers broke formation. Volunteers flooded the comm channels with final messages. Some prayed to ancestors. Others simply said goodbye to families light years away. Lissa and Blake transferred to the assault cruiser Talon's Edge. The crew was 23 Calrathians and 6 humans, all enhanced volunteers. They looked at Blake with something between reverence and fear. "Listen up," Blake said, his voice carrying to every corner of the small bridge. "The Seraph will board us approximately 4 minutes after we breach their command vessel's hull. They'll expect resistance. We're not giving them any. We let them come. We let them think they've won. And when they're inside, focused on capturing our ship, we activate the charges and blow a hole straight into their genetic storage bay." "And then?" one of the Calrathian engineers asked. "Then we grab every human DNA sample we can find and run like hell." "What about everyone else's DNA?" Lissa asked. "What about Calrathian samples? The other species they've harvested?" Blake hesitated. "We can't carry it all. The storage bay is massive. We have to prioritize. Prioritize human samples, you mean?" "Yes." Lissa stepped closer. "Change of plans. We split up. You take your team to human storage. I'll take mine to Calrathian storage. We each grab what we can. That cuts our survival odds in half. Then we'd better move fast." The Talon's Edge and 14 other cruisers burned toward the Seraph command vessel at maximum acceleration, point defense systems opened fire. 2 ships disintegrated before reaching the hull. 13 left. They hit the organic surface like bullets through flesh. The cruiser's reinforced prows punched through layers of alien tissue, burying themselves deep in the Harvester's interior. Lissa felt the impact through her bones. Alarms screamed. Hull breaches on decks 2 through 5. Atmosphere venting. Temperature dropping. "Boarding parties incoming," the tactical officer reported. "They're cutting through from all sides." Blake pulled up a schematic downloaded from the ancient library. The genetic storage bay was 300 meters forward and 2 decks down. "Teams split here," he said. "Lissa, your group goes left at the junction. Ours goes right. 15 minutes maximum. Then we rendezvous at the extraction point." "What extraction point?" "We're buried inside their ship," Blake grinned. "Trust me, Seraph boarders breached the hull. They poured through like a flood of chitin and claws. Bipedal but wrong. Their movements too fluid. Their bodies adapting in real time to the ship's environment. The crew didn't fight back. They ran. Down corridors. Through shattered bulkheads. Deeper into the enemy vessel's living interior. The Seraph followed, exactly as predicted. Behind them, charges detonated. The cruiser's reactor went critical in a controlled burn, carving a tunnel of destruction through the Harvester's organs. Lissa's team reached the genetic storage bay. The chamber was vast, filled with crystalline structures containing millions of DNA samples. Each one represented a person the Seraph had cataloged for future harvest. "Grab everything marked with Calrathian genetic markers," she ordered. "We have 12 minutes. Her team moved fast, pulling crystal after crystal from the storage matrix. Thousands of samples, tens of thousands. Not enough. There were millions. Through the Neuralink, she felt Blake's team doing the same 300 meters away. Felt his urgency. His desperate need to save something from this nightmare. "Commander, we have movement," one of her Marines warned. "Seraph defenders converging on our position." "How many?" "All of them." The ambush had worked. The Seraph had committed everything to capturing the boarding ships, and now they were about to discover the boarding ships were bombs. "Extraction in 90 seconds, Blake's voice echoed through the link. "Get to the rally point now." Lissa grabbed one more crystal, saw the genetic marker, a family from the Calrathian outer colonies, parents and 3 children, cataloged for harvest. She put the crystal in her pack and ran. The extraction point was a jagged wound in the Harvester's hull, where the Talon's edge had torn through. Lissa's team arrived first, their packs heavy with genetic samples. Blake's team crashed through 30 seconds later, pursued by a swarm of Seraph defenders. "Charge is armed!" Blake shouted. "Jump on 3! Jump where?" Lissa yelled. Blake pointed at empty space beyond the hull breach. Beyond it, the distortion field warped reality into nauseating spirals. "Into that? 1, 2... They jumped. The distortion field caught them like insects in amber. Lissa felt her body stretch across impossible dimensions. Time moved sideways. Then a human retrieval craft materialized from nowhere, its cargo bay open, and they tumbled inside. Behind them, the Talon's Edge and 12 other cruisers detonated simultaneously. The explosions ripped through the command vessel's interior like synchronized surgery. The Harvester's bioluminescent veins went dark. 93 seconds of command paralysis began. "All ships execute," Vextel's voice thundered across the fleet channel. The combined human-Calrathian fleet moved as one entity, not coordinated, unified. 47 enhanced volunteers controlling 73 ships with a single distributed consciousness learned from 3 million years of warfare. They didn't fight like humans. They didn't fight like Calrathians. They fought like 12 extinct species, channeled through neural links in desperation. Calrathian dreadnoughts wove through space in patterns that violated inertia. Human destroyers fired weapons that curved through higher dimensions. Fighters executed maneuvers that required thinking in 6-dimensional combat geometry. The Seraph fleet tried to respond, failed. Their command consensus was shattered. Individual harvesters operated on instinct, falling back on protocols designed for enemies who fought in predictable ways. But there was nothing predictable about species fighting for survival with the knowledge of everyone who'd ever survived before them. 16 harvesters died in 7 minutes. The last one tried to retreat. The fleet didn't let it. Didn't let a single Seraph entity escape to report what had happened here. When it was over, the silence on Lissa's bridge felt like gravity returning after freefall. Blake sat against the bulkhead, the prismatic glow fading from his eyes. He looked human again, exhausted, damaged, but human. Is it done? Lissa asked. The immediate threat is done, Blake said quietly. But there are more Seraph fleets out there. Hundreds of them. Thousands, maybe. This was just one harvesting group. Then what did we accomplish? Blake held up a crystal from his pack. Inside, suspended in quantum stasis, was a complete human genome. We proved we can fight them. We proved humans and Calrathians together can do what neither species could alone. And we have the library. He gestured toward the planet below. 3 million years of warfare. Every tactic, every technology, every weakness ever discovered. Vextel's image appeared on the comm screen. The Admiral looked older than he had that morning. Casualties, he asked. Talon's Edge crew losses. 17 killed, 6 wounded. Fleet-wide, we lost 9 ships. 4,200 casualties total. Blake's voice was flat, reporting numbers like inventory. We saved 237,000 genetic samples, human and Calrathian combined. Out of millions, Vextal said. Yes. The Admiral was quiet for a long moment. Lieutenant Harrison, I owe you an apology. When this alliance began, I believed humanity had simply used us as shields. I was wrong. You used yourselves as weapons and asked us to stand beside you. That's different. With respect, Admiral, it's not that different. We still started a war that killed billions to position your fleet exactly where we needed it. Yes, Vextal agreed, but you bled for it. You married into our families. You changed yourselves into something not quite human anymore. That earns a degree of forgiveness. Blake looked at Lissa. She was staring at the genetic crystal in her hand. The family from the outer colonies. We need to tell them, she said. Everyone we saved. Everyone we couldn't save. Both our people need to know what we're facing. They'll panic, Vextal warned. Good, Lissa said. Panic means they'll prepare. Because the Seraph will come again. Stronger, smarter. They'll adapt to what we did here. Then we adapt faster, Blake said. We integrate the library's knowledge into both our militaries. We build new ships using technology from species that fought the Seraph for centuries. We enhance more volunteers, create more neural links, forge both our civilizations into something the Seraph have never encountered. A hybrid species, Vextal said slowly. Human and Calrathian, unified at the neural level. Not just us, Blake corrected. Any species willing to stand against the harvest? We share the library with everyone. Build an alliance across the galaxy. The Seraph have had 3 million years of unchallenged harvesting. It's time someone challenged them. Lissa stood. Her body ached. Her mind was full of tactics from dead civilizations, and her pack held genetic samples representing hundreds of thousands of lives saved from oblivion. There's one more thing we need to do, she said. She walked to Blake, extended her hand. The same gesture he'd offered when they first met. This time, she meant it. He took her hand. His skin still flickered occasionally with that alien light. Probably always would. He'd sacrificed his humanity to save his species. And somehow, in doing so, he'd created something new. Partners? He asked. Partners? She agreed. In war. In survival. In whatever comes next. Through the neural link they still shared, she felt the other 46 volunteers, felt their relief, their exhaustion, their fierce pride in what they'd accomplished. And beneath it all, she felt something else, the faint whisper of the library on the planet below. 3 million years of species who'd fought impossible odds. Most of them had lost, but some had won, and every victory, no matter how small, had been saved, catalogued, passed forward to whoever came next. 6 months ago, humanity had been a minor species hiding from inevitable extinction. The Calrathians had been an advanced civilization with no idea a greater threat existed. Now they were something neither had been before. They were survivors who'd learned to fight back. And across the galaxy, in 1,000 Seraph command vessels, administrators would be receiving reports of an impossible defeat. They'd analyze it, process it through their bureaucratic consensus, and eventually they'd come again. But when they did, they'd find an alliance waiting, armed with the knowledge of everyone who'd ever resisted. United in a way the Seraph couldn't comprehend, the harvest had backfired. And the galaxy